Hello and welcome to another episode of Spirituality for Badass Babes. And today I have a very special badass babe with me today. Kate McKay, who is the CEO of Siena Strategy Group, is an international best-selling author, transformational speaker, athlete, podcaster, and multi-million-dollar business owner. Her passion is to spread her message of living life in confidence, courage, clarity, and purpose. Hello, Kate. How are you?
Hello, fellow badass. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
All the badassness. Kate is also one of my teachers inside Expansion Alchemy. I have been chatting about Expansion Alchemy over the last couple of episodes. We'll share more on that later. But hello, Kate. How are you? How are you doing? And welcome to Spirituality for Badass Babes.
Thank you so much. I'm doing phenomenal. I'm really excited to add some value to your viewers and listeners. And let's just get after the badassery of this life we're living.
Let's do it. So what makes you a spiritual badass?
I just absolutely love that expression. I heard that in a different way today. I mean, obviously, I love the term badass because my bestseller is called Claim Your Inner Badass. And really, ultimately, the reason why that word means so much to me is because I think me growing up, it was always like I was too something, too loud, too big, too this, too that. And so it became like the two became a negative thing. And so that I had to shrink this little person that I already am into something smaller and dimmer and more appropriate. And honestly, I would say the reason why it's so significant and why I deem the word badass as a spiritual evolution is what happened to my life when my life blew up in 2017. And that is when my warrior, my absolutely spectacular son, who was my spiritual light, decided in his, as his friends describe it, ascend on his own accord. He decided to pour it out on the physical plane. And I think that people were freaked out that I actually had an understanding of will's choice. They wanted me to kick, to scream, to blame, to roll up in a ball and be take responsibility for my son's choice at 22, my little spiritual Buddha William. And I was like, man, no, I believe that I was birthed in this world to birth this cosmic, spiritual, extraordinary human. And then most powerfully, to release him to where he chose and not be attached to that. And let me tell you something, it took a long time for me to figure out what else could be more significant in my life than to birth and release a child. And that's why I'm here with you, Boo, because I believe that that is the message, that we can birth and release over and over again into the evolution of who we are and who we came here to be. We rise, but we got to roll through the darkness, Boo. We can't deny the darkness in order to lean into the light. And that's what I do every day. It's what I do every day with my clients. It's what every day I do with every person I touch. I'm here to bring the light of God to all people. And I feel blessed beyond measure.
You are such a light. So beautiful. Blessed be, absolute blessed be. You and I were talking about that before this recording. Actually, like I was sharing a little bit of an ayahuasca, and I have an episode specifically on this particular ayahuasca journey. It was last November of 2021 where I had a complete crazy demonic attack, and I had to go through that in order to get to the light. And Kate was asking me, are you afraid of it? No, I'm not, because I know that there's always light that comes through and always light that shines through no matter what we go through. But we need to go through that darkness. And so many of us have so much of that darkness, but we are afraid to look at it. We're doing some spiritual bypass. We're like, oh, I want to be airy fairy and like
right,
da-di-da-di-da all the time. No,
it's true. And I think that was the most, when you said that whole idea, I didn't realize, like, so my son Will was, he was literally, he came out of the womb, and I was just like, oh, I was a little frightened of him because he exuded, like he had that halo. He just looked right through me. He was mystical. And I'm like loud girl. I'm like out there, right? But my son, with him, we didn't talk much, okay? Which is just very weird, that I knew my job was to keep his space sacred, that I would make him yummy food, that I would, but he always respected me, but he never asked for anything ever his whole life. And he was the grittiest person I know. He could take a beating in gymnastics. He could sit in meditation for 8 to 10 hours. He could live without food. And he smiled through all of it.
Wow.
Dude, he smiled through it. So his evolution was so powerful to watch and witness. And I learned so much from him. But guess what? I honor myself, because all of that greedy determination and that light, it was through me that he was able to become that holy vessel. He chose me for the journey. And I feel like, man, that's some sacred stuff. But I will say, as far as the spiritual bypassing, that's what happened to my son. Dudes, this is real. Like, people do. He saw so much light that he couldn't handle the suffering that was around in the world. He was confused. He didn't understand all the suffering. He was like, don't you all see? All there is light. Like, whoa, what happened? And so for me, when someone makes that kind of choice, it's brutal. Like, suicide's brutal. Don't get me wrong. There is nothing pretty about it because of the repercussions of what gets left behind. But I truly believe that he saw that my dad passed away the same year, a few months before. And he saw the way I was with my dad. I was like in bed with my dad. I'm like, move over, Dad. I'm going to scooch on right next to you. And I healed my relationship with my dad then, because I'm like, he's not passing without me being in the love with my father. So I'm like, he's Irish Catholic. I'm one of 9 kids. I'm like, Daddy, and I'm kissing up against him and everything else. And all my siblings were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, loving my Daddy. Is that all right with you? And my son Will was in the room, I swear to God, and he saw the way I was with my dad. Like, I was like, I can manage this transition, and I'm going to heal me, and I'm going to heal my dad, because my dad came in the world with a lot of trauma. The trauma wasn't going to be stuck with me. Hell no. And I have to share the other piece of that is my brother was murdered at the same age as my son committed suicide, you see? And my mother, they were 22, and my mother, dude, was 54 when my brother died, my brother Matthew. How old was I when Will died?
54.
Damn straight, 54.
Damn.
And you better mark my words, that karma ends with me.
I was about to say that there's a karmic
goosebumps
that you need to
goosebumps. So I just say that with deep conviction and holy conviction, that this was for future generations to come. Hey, I'm positive, girl. I'm like the Leo energy, right? And I'm like, man, I got chosen for some dark stuff, but
I think all of us Leos got chosen for some dark stuff. One of my all-time favorite quotes, and I don't know who exactly said it, is like, we heal in this lifetime so future generations don't have to do that much work. Because like, my parents had no idea what the heck healing was. Their parents even more so. So like, we are put in this generation to do the healing so that future generations don't have the traumas, don't have those karmic loops, don't 100%. Have that craziness
100%
that we dealt with. Yeah.
And honey, it's not just like an important thing. It's a friggin' obligation, people. This isn't negotiable. Like, it is your sacred responsibility to heal what you came in the world. Wake up. This is your work, because you know what's on the other side of it? The most freaking incredible freedom. The freedom is real, right, boo?
Ooh, it's so good. So good. This is why I do the work that I do. And I sit in these dark ceremonies with plant medicines, and I'm doing like holotropic breath work and hypno sessions and all of this. So not only I can heal myself, I can heal the world, I can heal others as well, and heal some of like my ancestral stuff as well. Like, one of my all-time favorite ceremonies that I did, it was a mushroom ceremony actually. And we did a bunch of mushrooms and then walked into a temescal, a sweat lodge. And it was so healing. The sweat lodge is feminine. It always is, because it resembles a womb. If anyone doesn't know much about that, it resembles a womb, and you open up these sacred portals and these doors. So we're freaking tripping balls on mushrooms inside this sweat lodge. I connected so deeply to my feminine ancestors, my mother, my grandmother. It was one of the most beautiful healing experiences ever, because I connected so deeply to that lineage. And we need to heal our lineage as well, because like I said, like, your mother doesn't know, your grandfather doesn't know, your grandmother doesn't know, future generations. And like, it's all encoded in our DNAs. We have all of these traumas, all of these hurts, all of these pains inside our DNA. It is up to us. It is our obligation to
Amen.
heal all of that.
Yes.
Yes.
And just go at it, and get a tribe of people. So I am one of those people that have never done, I grew up in a family of drugs and alcohol. So I'm a freak. I'm not interested at all in the tripping experience, but I studied shamanism and I study meditation.
Beautiful.
So it's not necessary. It's not required. So because I've seen some trippy stuff, you guys, wills come to me in wild dreams. But you don't absolutely have to do the drugs. And I would say that because of where I come through, my family have come through, I got to do things clean. And I'm not saying it's not clean. It wouldn't be clean for me. You know what I'm saying? We have to go on what's personal for us. But doesn't matter what your spiritual journey is and which way you get it. Just believe that it's the right way, and trust the people around you. And that's a really important piece that happens when you
trust yourself as well. A lot of people trust yourself as well.
Amen.
A lot of people do not trust themselves. I teach intuition a lot. And with some of my clients, it's like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Is it me? Is it my head saying this? Is it this? No, trust yourself.
Beautiful.
If your intuition is guiding you, that is you. That is your deep core of who you are. The infinite, the infinity, the universe, whatever the heck you want to call it, that is you. Your higher powers are speaking through you. Trust that. There's a reason it's all coming through. And no, you don't have to do psychedelics and plant medicines. In meditation alone, I channel some of like my best work in just meditation alone, not on anything. I'm a big fan of rapé, which is a tobacco-based plant medicine, but like that will take me so deep in, but like just channel, allow it to come through. And once you trust yourself, like your dreams will be magical, spirit guides will start coming to you, all of these little inklings, and you'll be like, how the heck did I just get here from that? What just happened?
And then you put the boots on the floor and you take action. So I think that's the piece where you and I agree, that we may be able to be in these spiritual spaces and be able to do work here. But I'm also a badass warrior on the ground, boots on the ground, helping men and women ground themselves and restore themselves and build a life and a legacy that is through the healing process so they can friggin' elevate. We're either healing or growing. That's it. We're healing.
And if you're not growing, you're dying.
You're dying on the vine, boo.
Ooh, I love it. So let's chat about your book, because you are relaunching your Inner Badass book, Claim Your Inner Badass. I love it.
Me too. So
fun. You're relaunching it very soon, right?
Yes. Yeah. Just in November. And I also have Claim Your Inner Hottie. And I have Claim Your Inner Warrior, which is my book, especially for men. And then around in Thanksgiving, Claim Your Inner Peace, which is my journal.
I love it.
Just relaunching that as well.
How do you reclaim that inner badass? What is this all about?
Well, we talk about the healing process, right? And, absolutely there's a spiritual element to it, but we have to balance out the psychological piece. And that's a very different pathway. It can be similar, but they are weaved together. So much of the work, I'm a neuroscientist freak. I love biology and chemistry, and I love psychology. I love metaphysics, which is the tying in of the psychology and the spirituality. For me, that's where it's at. So we have to look at all pieces of ourselves and some of the thematics, obviously, in a coaching, because I'm a high performance coach, certified high performance coach, and success coach, is we have to look at what does it mean to get our needs met. You know, what are your true authentic values? What is it to have freaking healthy boundaries? What is your purpose? Not just this one thing, but what is calling you forth? And, you know, I focus on the 6 high performance habits. You know, it's science backed, it's research based. And it really is looking at clarity, energy, productivity, and necessity and influence. Who are you here to influence? And I love courage, which is, are you living authentically? Are you speaking your truth? Are you getting your needs met? Are you living a life of alignment? And, you know, it's a role as a coach as being both a cheerleader and kicking people's asses. I have a background in fitness. I used to own a
You're
gym.
badass, by the way.
Yeah.
Damn.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm a strong little booger. So I compete in bikini competitions, which is crazy because I'm older, but the reason why is because that is the spiritual process for me. Preparing for I have to give up a lot, dudes. I have to give up a lot. I have to be very strict on my nutrition, my exercise, and I have to turn inward and feel suffering. Because when you remove things, we need to feel and experience those things so we know what rings true for us. We cannot grow if we don't experience the fear of whatever, and identifying the fear and being able to move through it and rise, because we're worth more. Like, come on, we're worth more. We deserve more.
Yeah.
And that's really my message. And I preach it. I coach a lot of high performance men. Obviously, since I lost a brother and a son, went to murder and suicide, as I mentioned, I'm particularly passionate about helping men give language to men. Because, like, listen, I have an athletic mindset. I come to the work as a warrior, as an athlete, but I'm Mama Kate. So I still,
Yes,
I love in a big way. And I love to love. And it's all in the love frequency. And sometimes sometimes our best lessons, our biggest gifts are wrapped in sandpaper, but we can always tie it up with a beautiful bow. And I fully believe that that's the story. Our life story is we get to choose. We get to choose how we wrap our life up.
Ooh, that is so good and so much to unpack there. I'm a big fan of using the word choose because we shouldn't do anything. Shooting is like shitting on yourself. No,
Totally.
we choose to do whatever. And oh, it's so beautiful. And today we all choose to be inner badasses and connecting to ourselves. I love like the whole authenticity thing as well. Like I talk about authenticity a lot. And it was funny, I was talking to someone yesterday actually, and I said something that would have upset them, but like they did not take it in a bad way. They're like, oh, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Like, I'm gonna look at it. I was like, I've come so far because I preach authenticity so much now. It's like 5 years ago, I would have never been able to say that remark to someone. I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna hurt their feelings. Like, I'm not gonna say that. No, choose to live an authentic life and be vulnerable and release all of those fears, like full complete circle. We cannot be spiritual bypassing. Release all that is yours. Yes, we cannot release all that is in yours and step into your full light. Choose to step into your full light. Ooh, so
Yes,
good. So
totally. And when I say bring the right people around you, for a long time, I'll say this to you, that oftentimes people who are badasses had to be like the lone wolves, right? And that was me for a long time because I didn't trust, because I came through such a time bomb of life. And so for me, it was being able to have a high level of discernment. Like, who were those right people that I trusted myself with? And I made some poor choices. And so that's what happens if you're functioning from a place of trauma and not being healed, is that you're going to make choices that aren't healthy because you're bonding from trauma. So make the choice to get really super healthy, and then have a system for discernment. Embrace and fall in love. Find the sexiness of discernment. There is a beautiful pause and space around the word, and honor it, because it's a sacredness. It's a true sacredness to be able to discern what's right and wrong for you. It's okay to have a yes. It's okay to have a no. And guess what? It's also okay to have a maybe.
Yes, it is. Discernment is the new sexy. I like it. I heard someone say the other day, vulnerability is the new sexy. And I'm like, yes, it's so good.
And I would say the other side of that too, and because I work with men a lot, and I'm also, like I said, I'm the athlete, I think the word vulnerability is scary. And I think it's scary because what it sounds like it means is that I'm vulnerable, like I'm just sharing everything I got. That's not what it is, right? Vulnerability means you're speaking your truth. I like how Brendon Burchard talks about it. He says assertive vulnerability means you have the power to say no, that it's not like you're boundaryless. So there is a piece of being authentic and being vulnerable, but also knowing it's in the power of vulnerability to have no be part of that message, right? It's part of the truth telling vulnerability. And it doesn't mean, cupcakes and roses and unicorns. It means sometimes vulnerability means there is a chance that you will be rejected. And that has to be okay because you're that clear on who you are and your discernment is so high. Oh, you're up there in the ohm frequency that it's easy for you to walk away from things that don't resonate.
Ooh, so beautiful. If it doesn't ring true to your soul, it is okay to walk away. It is okay. Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Where do you have any other final tips, tricks on how people can reclaim their own inner badasses or step into their own lights? And yes.
And I would just say the number one thing, because I'm an activator coach, is that it's good to have intention and positive, have positive expectancy. I mean, there's science behind positive expectancy. It's real. Is real science that if you expect things to be good, then chances are they're going to be good. It is something that can be learned, but it requires choosing. We go back to choice. But I would say that every single day is a day to take right action. And you can write every moment into something more positive, or that's going to add greater value to you or the people around you. Don't let any day be a wash. Just like looking back at what today sucked. Let's see what tomorrow's like. No, make end the day with a positive experience and a positive mindset and a positive heart set. It's really important that we claim, and I use the word claim because it's a word that came to me from Will in a dream, that we have the power to claim things. We can claim our love. We can claim our light. And I say, claim your best life. Just go after it. Go be great. Go be great.
Go be a freaking badass. Yes. Where can people find you? Where can they get your book as well? Where can they follow you?
Right on. So you can follow me on IG at I am Kate McKay, and my website's kate-mckay.com. And hey, just hook up to Amazon. All my books are there. Claim Your Inner Badass is launching in November, and the rest of them should be there by the end of the month. So I'm just having a blast with those. And and my podcast is Master Your Life with Kate McKay. And if you have a guest or you're interested in being a guest, reach out to me. I'd love to have you.
Thank you so much, Kate. This has been so fabulous. And you are a spiritual badass.